Hello everyone. In today's video I'm going to share about frequency distribution. So what is frequency distribution? In statistics you get a pool of numbers or you get a pool of scores to make informed conclusions about the numbers or the scores that you have obtained. But as you can see in the image, the numbers are all over. There are numbers that is being repeated more than once. There are numbers that doesn't exist at all. So by just looking at the numbers with your naked eye, you cannot make any comprehensible information or you cannot make any conclusions about what exactly these pool of numbers or scores are trying to convey to you. So what is the best way to do? We need to organize them into a comprehensible format so that is easier to understand and easier to read it. So what we are trying to do is, the first step of statistics is to organize these information into a tabular or into a frequency distribution. So as you can notice, the numbers that we have collected are being organized and counted on the frequency of the numbers appearing in your data or in your pool of information. So what we do in frequency distribution is you identify the scores. So here you have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 till 10. What you do next is you count how many times does the 4 appears in your data. So in this case it appears twice. So by transforming these pool of scores into a tabular format, you can make informed conclusion about the scores that you have obtained. So based on this table, you can identify that score number 7 appears the most in your data because the frequency of it. So it has the highest frequency, highest numbers of time that it appears in your data. So what else can we do with these information? Once we organize into a frequency distribution, you can transform it for an easier interpretation. So what can you do? In this example, you can actually transform the frequency into proportion or percentage. For example, you have college degrees, high school, bachelor's, MBA, master's, and till PhD, and then followed by frequency. So when you look at the frequency, based on the numbers, you can able to identify that MBA in the data, most of the participants have MBA qualification. So this is just the number of times that it appeared in the entire 40 number of scores, 40 data or 40 information that you have gathered, and 20 of them have obtained MBA. So how else can you tell the same story? So what you can do is you can transform these information into proportion, which is the frequency in relation to the total frequency. So what is relative frequency? If you notice, you have 20 MBAs out of 40 total participants, a total sample. So you can take the proportion of it, which is 20 over 40, and you get 0.500. And these relative frequency can be converted into percentage. So what you do is 20 over 40 multiplied by 100. So you get 50%. So when you transform it to percentage, what happens? You can explain it in a easier for people to understand. So when you say 50% of the sample are 50% of the participant have MBA degree. So it's trying to tell that almost half of the sample is MBA qualified. Does it sound similar to you? Where do you think that frequency distribution is widely used and that is very, very close to you? Let me give you a clue. Tan Sri Dr. Noor Hisham, the Health General Director, press release, COVID-19. Yes, you got it. The press conference on COVID-19 that has been given by Tan Sri Dr. Noor Hisham on a daily basis. It is a very good example on how frequency distribution is being used in understanding about the spread and also the intervention or action towards COVID-19. In this example, I'm going to show you how the daily press release on COVID-19 cases is actually based on frequency distribution. As we have been following the news and the COVID-19 cases, what we get reportings of this COVID-19 cases all over Malaysia, from Penang, from Perlis to Sabah. So you get cases reported, cases being screened every day in every state. So you have all over Malaysia, you have all the cases. So when you have cases, is a pool of cases tested positive for COVID-19, what the ministry does is they organize these information into a comprehensible form. So that is how every day that they report, there are how many new cases of COVID-19 that is tested for positive. So from these 432, what they do is they actually organize them according to state. So what they do is they list out the state and they count how many cases are reported in each of the states. What does that tell us? It actually gives us information of which is the most severely affected state. So up to the 5th October 2020 reports in Malaysia, the most affected one is the state of Kedah, followed by Sabah. So you are able to see that which are the states very affected and what are the states that it is still under control. So all this information is just very clearly or very obvious when you put it in the tabular format, or you have organized the cases by states. So the frequency information actually tells us how many cases are in a particular state and what you need to be doing next. So besides reporting the frequency, the Ministry of Health also transform this information into percentages. So if you notice, up to 5th of October, in their release they say there are 432 cases, and they even break it down to 3 imported case and 429 is a locally transmitted cases. So what is the one that I have circled in red is actually the percentages. What does this percentages tell us? So up to 5th October there were 12,813 cases altogether in Malaysia. So out of 12,000, 2,336 are reported as active cases. So all these 12,000 is from the day 1 that we have patients until the 5th of October. So during this duration we have a total of 12,000, but currently how many percent is actually active? So we have 2,336. It looks like wow, it's a big number, but when you convert it into percentage, it shows that it's only 18% that is active. So it is less than 20%. So we can be confidently saying that it's still, we are managing it well. We are still under control. We are still trying to we are still best in managing it. Besides that, you can also look at another percentage that is reported is the number of recovered cases. The total recovered cases is 10,340 out of 12,813 cases. So you say that, okay, 10,000 out of 12,000. So you cannot actually estimate how well is the recovery process. So but when you convert it, 10,340 over 12,813, and you convert it to percentage, you get 80.70. So meaning that the recovery rate is really high. It is above 80. So it is like, as it goes for by percentage, it is a very promising percentage because it is more than 80% of the reported cases have been recovered. And the last percentage that is being reported is the number of death. So out of 12,813, there is only 137 death cases reported. So by just telling that 137, yes, it does look like a small number, but when you convert it to percentage, it becomes only 1.07. How did we get 1.07? Is 137 over 12,813 multiplied by 100. So what we are trying to do here is, the ministry is trying to give us the overview of the situation, how many cases by state, and besides this information, they are also giving us information about the percentages so that it's easier to make interpretation. And based on these numbers is when the government is taking actions like movement control orders, restricted movement control orders, lockdown. So all these are based on these statistics.